All right, joint practices behind us. Preseason game tomorrow. I have a bunch of questions that I want to get into, but
Hmm.
I want to start with McCarthy because KOC said that Wentz is very capable. He's comfortable. He doesn't need the reps. So we're not going to see Kyler tomorrow, I don't think.
I doubt
If
it.
if you're in charge of McCarthy's minutes, what do you do here? Are you giving him a full 3 quarters? Is there a downside to doing that? Like, what do you do with JJ McCarthy in preseason game 2?
I think you at least give the whole first half, and I don't see a downside in that at all. I see only upside with JJ McCarthy. Really, the rest of the preseason. I think he has to go out there and prove that what looked like sloppy play from him last week was not necessarily sloppy play. It was his supporting cast was awful. Penalties on the offensive line. It was pre-snap penalties. It was holding calls. It was busted plays. It was dropped footballs. Um, Bad blocking on a blitz. I think there are a lot of things that were outside of his control to make it look like he did not play well. And whether that's fair or unfair, I think the coaching staff still needs to see him have a smooth operation. Like, you're in command, you're the captain. You go down with the ship. If the ship is crappy, well, guess what? You're at the helm, so you take responsibility. So I'd be very comfortable if I'm the coach, thinking he's going to play at least the first half. I mean, you mentioned 3 quarters. If it's three, I don't even care if he plays the whole game. If they feel that comfortable with Carson Wentz, which I think everybody understands. He looked really good last year. He's a true salty vet. He fits the mold of what KOC is looking for to run his type of offense. And if he's healthy, why do we need to put him out there in harm's way when we know that he can run the offense and be successful? The question mark is, what do we have still in JJ McCarthy? And he has a little bit to prove from last week. So I say play him as long as you feel necessary. And if it's a first half, fine. If it's 3 quarters, okay. And I mean, it'd be a talker if you played the whole game, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, and I'd like to see him take some of the good things that happened in joint practices. I mean, we were 15 feet away from him making some of, I think, his best throws of camp, right? I,
Mm-hmm.
I thought, especially on Wednesday, he had a really nice day. I'd like to see if he could carry that momentum
Yeah.
into the preseason game. So, who else, like, who else needs to bounce back, right? We talked about everybody that we loved from last
Mm-hmm.
preseason game. Who are the guys that you need to see take a step forward after what you saw last week?
Both Caleb's, our offense and defensive Caleb's. Tiernan, the aforementioned holding call and the pre-snap penalty, I believe, were his. I know that he was battling a lot positionally because he was playing on both the right and the left side. But I'll give both of them a break and be fair that it is their first NFL game. Now it's
Mm-hmm.
preseason, so you're not going against the best of the best, against the number ones, but you're going against a lot better players consistently than you are in college. It was a rough outing for him, and I know that he's been nicked up through this week of practice. So who knows how much we're going to see him on Saturday? I hope we get a chance to see a lot of him, because I think that he's got to show, if anything, that he can bounce back from that, not go in the mental tank, that he can show improvement on the offensive line, regardless if he's a right or left tackle. And the same thing for Caleb Banks. Caleb Banks did not play very well last Saturday. He had flashes of moments where he was on the move. They asked him to be on the move, and he got to the edge of the offensive lineman, the offensive guard, and he was able to make a play or two. But overall, he did not handle the double teams very well. He did not handle the speed of the game very well. He did not play with very good body leverage. And so I think all of those things are a work in progress. And so, of course, we have such high hopes for him. I hope that he can use this opportunity to bounce back and show that, hey, I can learn from my mistakes from last week. I can make the necessary adjustments, and I can adjust to the speed of this game, this NFL game. So those are the two guys I'll be watching for sure.
I got a little something on each of them.
Yeah.
Um, somebody hit me in the DMs and they're like, "What's the plan with Caleb Tiernan?
What are
You
we
just
doing
gave
here?
Brian O'Neill that money, and they're like, you know, by the time O'Neill's deal runs out, this guy will be in the last year. Does he start for like there was a real question about what the plan here was. I've been using this term for a couple years now. Uh nickel tackle. The
Nickel
way
tackle.
today's
Okay.
NFL works, specifically the way we've existed as Vikings fans for like I can't think of a more important backup position than the tackle position. I think of this is not a I'm not a football guy, but like I want six. I think of six starting offensive linemen. The first guy on the bench I think of as a starter. So I want that guy to be as good as possible, regardless of how long our other two tackles start. So that's the answer to Jake, who sent me that message on DMs. He's that is a crucial position for us. And the thing about Caleb, when we were at joint practices, I thought he had a really nice couple of days. He had a really strong tackle for a loss against Derrick Henry.
Hmm.
He did a good. Is it a lot of what he did in that first game that I heard you and other people say was the leverage? He just got. He's a big guy.
Hmm.
He just got in a bad position. Is that an easier thing to correct than some of the other technique things? Is just learning where your center is and learning where your power is that something that we think like he should if he goes into the film room he should figure this out?
Yeah. Well, two things. I'll respond to your Tiernan thing.
Hmm.
I think in the short term, Ryan Vandermark he's your guy. He's your reserve tackle that can play this year.
Hmm.
Tiernan might be the guy in year 2 and 3, but I want to give the flowers to Vandermark because he's looked really good. I mean,
Okay.
very athletic. Obviously, he's head and shoulders with experience. He's got 4 years of experience on the rookie. I get that, but if that's the long term play for Tiernan, I get it. Um, when it comes to the teachability of what we saw from Banks, yeah, I mean, I think from a reality, when you're 6'6", are you always going to get underneath the pads of the offensive guard? No, like that's just, it's hard. Like physically, it's just almost impossible to get underneath that guy when you're already 4 inches taller than him or something. So, I think more than anything else, it's an awareness thing. I think he played at times with his eyes in the backfield too much. I, it's like you see this college player that was highly successful of getting off the ball, engaging with the guy, being strong enough to be like, I got you, guy. Like you're fine, but you're not going anywhere. And then locating the football and the ball carrier, making a move to get off and disengaging and rushing, all happening in a matter of a second. But it was too much read and react versus, dude, take your concentration to the guy that's blocking you first. Defeat him. Like,
Hmm.
don't look about, you play your gap responsibility. Don't worry about where the ball is going right now. Just beat the guy in front of you. And then when he would try to just do his little swim move to get off the guy, well, then the tackle was coming down for a double team and they're just washing him down because now you've got 4 hands on you. You've got over 600 pounds of offensive linemen pushing against you. And it just wasn't working. And so once he started to get into that world where he's like, oh crap, I'm not playing well against the double team, then you saw just him hesitate. Like virtually, unless they had him on the move with an actual D-line call, he was just hesitating about what I'm supposed to be doing and where the blocks are coming from and what type of blocks I'm getting. So the leverage thing I think will come as long as he understands and has better awareness about what type of block he's going to get. And then for that full second, concentrate on defeating the blocker and then get to the football.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it shouldn't go unnoticed that you just breezed by my nickel tackle
I
concept.
forgot
I
I
thought it
forgot you
was a
said that.
thought it was a good one, and you just gave it nothing. Uh,
You know, you
let's
know what? It's a really cool term I just heard just a few moments ago.
Yeah,
This thing
go
called
ahead.
nickel tackle.
Nickel tackle. Whoever came up with that, man, I
Yeah,
can't. I can't
man.
wait for some 79-year-old guy in the comments to tell me I'm insecure because I talked shit to you and had a little fun here. Um, the dude, there's been no shortage of hype, right, in the preseason.
Yeah.
A lot of it from us. Like let's be honest, we've been a hype train. But it's been fun because it's been a while since we've been able to be a hype train.
Yeah.
All that said, with all the people we've talked about, as we go into preseason game 2, is there anyone floating under the radar? Are there any sleepers out there that you think might walk out of preseason game 2 with everybody going, "That guy, what was that?"
Well, we saw a little bit of him last week, and it really confirmed everything when I watched him do defensive pass rushing one on one against the Ravens offensive line. I really like the chances of Elijah Williams on the defensive front.
Mm.
That we're giving so much hype to Big Citrus and Caleb Banks and Redmond from last year and Ty Ingram Dawkins, who we're hoping, we're hoping that he continues to improve and is the guy because he has so much potential. And just hanging out back in the weeds of that D-line depth is this guy named Elijah Williams. And he made a couple plays last week. I was like, man, I want to get to practice and just watch him specifically do some one-on-ones. The guy he's stocky. He may not look like the type of guy that you think is, he's kind of built like Redmond, not physically imposing like a Caleb Banks or a Big Citrus, but dude, he's got strength. He has a burst. He has quickness. I was really impressed with his body movements, and to use the word twitchy for a defensive lineman doesn't get used often, but I think he has surprising twitch for his size. And I thought he did really well in the individual periods, and I think he's going to get a lot of run in this preseason game, and I think he's a lock to make the team. Now it's a matter of how are we going to use this guy? Like we have a really right now on paper we have a really strong rotation with our interior defensive linemen. That's a great thing. You got to rotate those guys. You got to keep them fresh. And so now I have a higher level of comfort knowing that when Redmond needs to take a break, or Caleb or Citrus or whoever, El Presidente, Levi Drake Rodriguez, who is one of my favorites as well. When those guys need to take a break, we're not taking a huge step back. As a matter of fact, I think that he could be one of our better interior pass rushers when it comes to the sub packages in the nickel package.
That'd be good because I keep banging the drum on depth. That's my big fear. And that's why the main thing for me in this Ravens game, just as a worry-based fan, is I just want to get out of it healthy.
Yeah.
I want all our guys to move into the following weeks healthy. I want to close on this. I want to go back to joint practices. How fun has it been to have Randy Moss there? I
Oh, I
mean,
know.
you and I are, in between practice fields on the sideline there, watching the first team offense go. And you look over, and 15 feet away is Randy Moss. And he's
Mm-hmm.
talking to Thielen. And then he's over talking to Bob and Tom. And he's just all over the place. And he's going to be at the preseason game. And you hear Miles talking about how he's sitting in the wide receiver room, giving him tips. It was one of the best vibes about being around the team during joint practices, was just the energy that having him around created. And as a kid who grew up in the state, it was a lot of fun. It was really, really cool to see his presence and how it affected, like, literally the whole organization.
The funny story about that is, so when I got to practice before I even saw you, I was talking to one of the Vikings people, and she was telling me, she comes up and she's like, "Hey," and she says that like real clandestine, like real secret. She's like, "Hey, don't say anything to anybody." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Okay, now I'm intrigued. Like, what's going on? Like, what's the secret?" She's like, "Moss is here." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like, so I mean, I wasn't like, "Oh my gosh," like this is a secret that I can't keep, like I'm going to blast it to everybody. I'm like, I was like, "Oh, that's cool." But it was just funny the way that she presented it. Like they, they clearly didn't want to announce it. ESPN didn't want to announce that he was there. I think he really was there personally.
Mhm.
He went and talked to the receivers, and he just wanted to be there because he just wants to be a part of the organization. And the organization, obviously always embraces him and wants him to be back as much as possible. So I think that's why she was like, keep it secret. Like, this is just him just wanting to be here, whatever. But it's just funny how even people that work within the organization just, they hold him in such high regard, and they're so proud that he can come back and he's integrated himself with KOC and helping out in the offense and being a mentor to some of these guys. And I heard Miles talk about like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that he was giving me advice on like running a route and things to do. And like, this is a Hall of Famer. This is an icon, and he's watching me and he's coaching me. Like, this is crazy. And which is also crazy because Keenan McCardell, who was their wide receiver coach, is a hell of a NFL legend in his own right,
Mhm.
and they get coaching from him on the daily. But yeah, really cool to see him. Um, Impressive that he can be in that heat and be dressed in all black and a black hoodie and just be sort of incognito. I'd be sweating my ass off.
Well, you say incognito, and she was whisper, whisper. The interesting thing about Randy is he is unmistakable even from a distance. Like,
Oh, I know.
sometimes when you get up close to some of these guys on the field, I've always thought it was interesting. You go, and I don't mean this critically. I just, you see them on TV, you see how big, strong, fast they are, and you get like, hey man, you're so kind of small, like,
Hmm.
or smaller than I would have envisioned. And then,
Yeah.
you get to the lineman and you go, what's that?
Yeah.
But Randy, Randy's bigger than you envision, and he's
Hmm.
longer than you envision. He just like, they say he's 6'4". He might be, but he looks 6'9". I mean, he's just a big. That's why they called him the freak. So I think you could have been in the stands and seen him walk through, even with the hood and glasses on, and been like, "It's Randy. It's
Well, he
Randy
wasn't
Moss."
real. He wasn't real incognito. I get what he
No.
was trying to do, but if you're in the stands from 200 yards away and you see a tall black figure in all black on a warm summer day with a black hoodie pulled up over his head with a baseball cap on and black shades, you're like, who is that sticks out like a sore thumb
Yeah.
amongst all of the purple and the white and whatever? It's like, Randy, I think if you're going to be incognito, maybe don't dress in something that is so contrasting to what's on the field.
Here's the thing. I thought he looked cool. Is my
Well,
highlight of camp so far.
of course he looks cool.
Highlight of camp so far. It's fun that he's going to be at the preseason game. We'll have an episode, you from the field, right after the conclusion of
Yeah, man,
preseason
let's do
game
it. We'll
2.
have a instant reaction on Saturday afternoon.
Okay, I'll see you then.
All right, see you.